Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey everyone, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle back with you again. It is Friday. It is your lunchtime. This will be your Friday lunchtime live as we talk about the severe weather that stays in the forecast here for about the next 24 to 48 hours, as we still have another couple opportunities to see some storms around Oklahoma. Unfortunately, this is that time of the year, though, we do have to talk about, conditions that favor large hail, damaging wind, and tornadoes. So we'll look at that data here coming up, fresh, hot off the presses, and we'll see what's going to happen here for this afternoon, and also as we head on into Saturday. So we'll see if conditions still look pretty grim for our Saturday. The AI models and the analogs have all been pointing to Saturday as being a big day for the last few days, and now that we're within that accurate window, we'll see if still that remains. So thanks for joining me out there on YouTube land, also for Twitter. Thanks you guys. There's a chat function there. You can feel free to chime in there on occasion. Also on YouTube, as I mentioned, you guys can always chat as well, and on Facebook and on Rumble. So thanks for tuning in here for this afternoon. Hope you're going to have a great afternoon, a good weekend as well, outside, of course, the storms. So let's get on with the details. Let's get on with the data. Let me see, load up what I want to do here. Okay. First thing we'll do is take a look outside. So this is looking just to the east here with the AT's weather cam. You can see some puffy cumulus clouds right now. So what we have here across the metro is a dry line that is setting up. I'm going to show you what that looks like here on the visible satellite picture. And you will notice a little bit of agitation with the cumulus clouds once you get on the south side of Oklahoma City down to southern Oklahoma. You have kind of more of a mushy appearance to the clouds once you get north and east of Oklahoma City up toward the Tulsa area, which means there's still a little bit of stability left in that area. So as long as there's a little bit of stability left, that kind of holds things at bay as far as thunderstorm development. But I think that'll be changing as we go through the next few hours, as we'll start to destabilize and heat this area up pretty much along and east of the I-35 corridor. So that's going to be discussing here for today. Let's see. One of my little things isn't working. Let's close that and start again. My little pointer, little drawing tips. We'll get it going here in a minute. I don't, maybe not. I don't know where it went. All right, we'll do it without it. Let's see. What do we got? So here is a look at the surface map, where you do have kind of a south to southwest breeze here across central Oklahoma. That's where the dry line is trying to set up shop. When you look out in western Oklahoma, these wind barbs are coming in out of a westerly direction. Therefore, you can see the drier air comes in. The green is dew points. So dew points out here into the low mid-30s, whereas dew points in eastern Oklahoma are into the upper 60s to around 70 degrees. And that is kind of fuel for those thunderstorms like we talked about, because you have to have those type of moist conditions to produce the severe weather. If you do look at the Storm Prediction Center, they did increase the enhancement area of severe weather across eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, on up north from there, from Iowa, even down south, just east and south of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, on into Waco and parts of the Hill Country. So that is for the general broad view. The tornado risk, they kind of have it outlined here in this little yellow area, which is still on the eastern sides of Oklahoma, Arkansas, again up Missouri, Illinois, and then or Iowa rather, and then on down to the south into central Texas. Now it doesn't go to the I-35 corridor, so we'll see what happens if they have to make a last-minute adjustment to the left. Weather Service right now keeps it also just east of I-35 because they're going to mimic the Storm Prediction Center, and they have a low risk of tornadoes, baseball-sized hail, 60 to 80 mile per hour winds, and they have the tornado risk way out here. Now I'm going to unfortunately disagree with all of this. I'm going to bring all that back to the west. I wish I could get my drawing tool to work, but I don't know what happened with it. Let me could try launching again. Let's see what happens. Dun, dun, dun. But if it doesn't launch, I don't know what to tell you. What's that? Oh, audio. Is that on Facebook? Okay. Everywhere. Everywhere the audio's Everywhere the audio's dropping. That figures. This is the way it is sometimes. Oh, why is this thing being so goobery? All right, let me. This is not what I need right now. Of course, that stuff always the way it happens. Here we go. Got my drawing tool back. I just don't know what happened to it. There we go. At least I got something working. All right, if you have a situation where you're getting some audio, try refreshing your browser. You can also watch on different platforms. There's YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, and Facebook. So maybe one of those would be a little bit better. Not sure what's going on with that. All right, so let me go back to, where was I? Okay, so Eastern Oklahoma, like we talked about here for today, they have a better risk. Let's see, do they have on here? They didn't have today's on here at all. So Tulsa did not put out a risk for, they did update it. Here we go. Okay, so they do include the Tulsa area, Eastern Oklahoma, Western Arkansas. They kind of keep out this area from Ponca City to Stillwater. Like I said, I kind of favor a little closer area like this for development in this path. So I still think that's where the storm should initiate. And as they move off to the north and east, they'll likely probably produce some tornadoes with them. So they have elevated here in the Tulsa area for their risk of tornadoes as a result of that. Then on Saturday, everything here in central and eastern Oklahoma from a slight to moderate risk. You know, it's an elevated look for tornadoes, also for tennis ball size hail, 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, etc. And then on Sunday, everything kind of shifts off to the east from there. And things are a lot quieter on Sunday, not nearly as crazy as they were before. Let's see, where did my other map go? I guess I lost it. That's okay. All right, so let's go to the AI algorithms, and we'll see how this takes shape. And right now, the AI algorithms for today kind of favor just on the I-35 corridor and points to the east, with obviously higher indications out here across Arkansas and Missouri. So pretty much anywhere if you live in this area, you just need to be advised that you're going to be underneath storms that can produce the tornadoes, can produce the hail, can produce the damaging wind. So that's the hail and that's the damaging wind. So this is kind of like a repeat that we've seen. If you look at another, let me go back here because I do want to show you the next day, day 2 for Saturday. So the AI models for Saturday still keeping it pretty much right here across central Oklahoma as the bullseye for tornadic activity, but also either side, pretty much the whole state, also into Kansas and even down to Dallas-Fort Worth. And then on the hail side, same thing, and the wind side, same thing. So pretty much all categories involved. Okay, another AI model favors for today out here across eastern third of Oklahoma, down toward Dallas and central Texas, northeast Texas for some tornadic activity. That would be the general zone, which kind of matches up well with the Storm Prediction Center. Here's a look at Saturday. This particular AI model called NATOcast kind of really likes the bullseye here. Along the I-35 corridor between Oklahoma City and Tulsa is kind of a favorite spot for ingredients in the atmosphere. Don't focus too much on that right now. I mean, that's a day away, but the point is, the take home is the state is under that. If we do look at the analogs, going back to compare other similar events for day 1, which is today, does kind of, it's a little bit off-centered. I mean, it's different from what the Storm Prediction Center had. So it's interesting to see how analogs can perform when they try to match up similar events, and the output doesn't seem to go with it. But regardless, that was for today, and this is also for tomorrow. So at least this is in the general area. And we look at the, we'll call this CWASP. So it's an indice. I see it floating around on the internet these days. So if you have a number basically above 75, just a little purple ring right here, it just indicates that a lot of tornadoes that are strong happen with those numbers that are higher. So for this afternoon, for example, there's 80, 85, 75, all in the eastern parts of Oklahoma, indicating that that would be conditions favorable for a tornado that would be above an EF2 in strength. So that would be something that obviously lids on a little bit of a stronger side than we're used to, because most tornadoes are EF0 to EF1. So we do have the atmosphere that is capable of producing something stronger for today and also for tomorrow. I'll zip this through for Saturday. Let's see, here is Saturday, midday and afternoon. You can see right here it's kind of centered over central Oklahoma for the bullseye. Otherwise, the whole indices are quite strong. In other words, the atmosphere does have a lot of ingredients with it to produce those type of strong thunderstorms. Now, in the upper levels of the atmosphere is an interesting situation I'm watching here. So our first system right here is zipping up to the north and east today. Trail end of lift and energy back behind it that's going through Oklahoma right now. So we have what we call kind of a subtle flow. In other words, we still have a little PVA, positive vorticity advection, on the tail end of this. It's not overly dramatic. And with a little bit of heating, some daytime heat, instability, you can still squeeze out a couple of at least isolated thunderstorms in that pattern. But then this guy right here is the next one to watch. That's what's coming in on Saturday. So as it zips on in for Saturday morning, now into midday hours, So this is the position of the upper level low. Now, what is different with this one is it has a nice tail of a lot of lift coming in that's going to swing out ahead of it like a pinwheel action. And as this happens, it's going to help to really kick off and disturb the atmosphere here across Oklahoma. You can start to see the little ripples here in the indications, where the big main wave hasn't even come in yet. So what this actually occurs here is a little mini wave that comes in prior, along with some convergence like around the mid-levels of the atmosphere and some moisture return that kicks things off a little early in an atmosphere that's not capped. In other words, the models think that there will not be a significant cap on Saturday, therefore it produces these storms early. As we head into the afternoon hours, you can see how that little area of lift still rounding out the base, but you can see all this extra lift here coming in. So we still, it's kind of like you have a one after another as far as little kickers aloft in the atmosphere. So here's a midnight hour, and then here is the late overnight period, and then on into Sunday morning, and that is when this pinwheel action finishes coming on through, and it still has brought all this lift with it. So in other words, it's going to be a very prolonged period of precipitation, and unfortunately, with a lot of shear in place, it's going to be a little bit on the rough side for us, I believe. All right, here's a look. You know what? I'm going to go to a closer view. I didn't like that view. Let's do this. I'm going to try. I got to cram so much into this lunchtime live, so bear with me. Let's see. Here's Friday afternoon right here. So this is the indication of the lift along the dry line. This is our low mid-level lift, and so that's what's going to try to get those thunderstorms to go this afternoon. All right, so let's zip past that. Let's go to Saturday. So here's Saturday morning. So we already have lift developing here on this bright red colors coming on in the southwest Oklahoma and from western Texas. All right, as we head into the mid-morning and afternoon, so there's our already indication of showers and thunderstorms in the area, and we have more additional areas that are going to zip in the same southwest flow aloft one after another and kind of continue to provide lift across Oklahoma. And as that system gets closer Saturday evening, look how darker these colors get. That just means that the lift in the atmosphere is even greater. All right, it's more of a huge upper level vacuum cleaner that just pulls that air right up to get those storms to go. So that's in the evening hours for Saturday. And this is the midnight hour, and then there's toward daybreak hour. That lift is finally starting to push now into this part of the state. But otherwise, you can see central Oklahoma is going to have a long period where it looks like we're going to have a lot of lift in the atmosphere plus a lot of shear. That indicates a lot of storms. It is going to be, in my opinion, a pretty nasty flash flooding event with embedded hail, with embedded damaging wind, and with embedded tornadoes, I'm afraid. All right, so for this afternoon, this is what it looks like here for Oklahoma. The tail end of the 300 millibar jet is exiting the state during the afternoons. There's still a little bit of broad upper level lift with that for storm development, plus a mid-level jet streak. So all these are ingredients here. A southwest wind at 850 indicates that storms, should go quite well. Here's a look at the forecasted position of the dry line here for this afternoon. This is Oklahoma County right here. So you can see how the dry line basically gets on the west side of the metro and then stops. And if you do like a forecast sounding for this area, the NAM model here seems to think we won't have pretty much a cap at all at this point. So it's basically just freely to go convective, which means it should have no problem producing a couple of thunderstorms today that'll be quite severe. Hail size is up to grapefruit size. It's over 4 inches. The ship model, is 3.0. Wind damage indicator as well. So you have the basic ingredients for a tornadic storm that does produce all that kind of stuff that we really don't want to see here in this area, favored for this afternoon. All right, let's go into some other indices. Here's the CAP value, which shows that instability that has returned ahead of the dry line. This is no instability because remember the storms from last night and this morning, which, by the way, there were a lot of reports of some wind damage and one official confirmed tornado around Bethel Acres. Weather Service is going to check for others. But right now, that's what the latest is with that. But we do have some overlying shear with CAP, and it even extends down here into Dallas-Fort Worth as well. But it already has storms in that area, so it kind of eroded it from the map. If you look at the significant tornado parameter, it seems pretty high here across east central and southern and southeastern Oklahoma. What that basically means is the ingredients are there that would produce a significant tornado, for example. And so what that does is it causes it a PDS tour. And the red bar comes up here to the EF3 to EF4 category. Again, large hail, not much of a cap. So a lot of things on the table here, high wind damage potential as well. So this is, we have these type of setups every once in a while in our spring, and so it's just one of those. The cap, which indicates here by the colors, according to the model data, as we go to this afternoon, look how it just vaporizes, just disappears. So that's why we shouldn't have too much of a problem getting a few thunderstorms to go here, because the models do anticipate the cap to pretty much weaken for this afternoon. Now, it builds in here for this evening and overnight tonight, like it normally does, overnight hours. And then as we head into Saturday, this is where things get interesting. So remember, we had that elevated stuff that developed down here that starts to move in on Saturday. Now, as that's happening, the atmosphere wants to seem to cool during the day as that storm system gets closer. Therefore, it tries to erode the cap little by little throughout the day and make these storms surface-based. So by Saturday afternoon, there's no cap at all. There's no colors at all on Oklahoma. And then, of course, they'll build back in as we head into, looks like, Saturday night, right around here. So that means things coming to an end, whereas you still have the storms out to the east. So that is why kind of things are a little more volatile for Saturday. It appears we have a lot of the ingredients in place. It appears that the models do not think we'll have a cap in place. Therefore, we should have multiple rounds of storms thanks to the lift coming in that I detailed for you earlier. Big picture here for the storms for this afternoon. This model tries to produce a few down south into southern Oklahoma, also down around the Dallas, Fort Worth area, pretty much on the south and east side of you guys, on up to Arkansas, Missouri, etc. Starting from this afternoon onward. So here's another view of another trying to get some storms going up here across from Oklahoma City, right up into southern Kansas. So again, you have to watch these storms. Should they materialize? Those will move off quickly to the north and east here this afternoon. Models still struggling, though, what to do with those, but at least they do have the indications they will develop. More storms down there in Texas, and then things kind of quiet. All right, and then we go into Saturday morning. So Saturday morning, here is that, and this model is different than others. It doesn't have a whole lot of rain in this area. Most of the other models do. This one is actually pretty interesting. I'm a little confused by its output, honestly, because it's behaving a little different than what it should be doing. It doesn't produce a whole lot of precipitation at all. At the same time, it says there's no cap, and so that can't be possible. So there's something here in the physics that doesn't like the way it's set up, and it could just be a flaw in the model, a little bias that I'm unaware of. So we're going to see if it catches up with time. But what it does do for Saturday evening, once we get past the daylight hours, it does kick in those showers and storms that do develop along the I-35 corridor, 544, very heavy rainfall, kind of a squall line appendage, all the way down into, look at western Texas, all of into southern Kansas. So it is going to be a big, nasty, slow-moving line of training storms. And training storms equals flash flooding, a very slow-moving event at that. So it goes on through, Saturday night, on into Sunday morning, repeated rounds that move through. As we head into the morning hours on Sunday, things still haven't wound down yet. By midday Sunday, looks like they are finally starting to quiet down for most of the state, southeast Oklahoma the exception, and then on into Arkansas, etc. There's even some redevelopment down here in southern Kansas and far northern Oklahoma, probably along the dry line at that point for Sunday afternoon. So still a little bit stormy as we head on into the weekend. Let me look at the tech model here real quick. Let me refresh this, see if anything news come in. So at least the tech model does indicate the possibility here of a few of these little storms from southern Kansas back here into east central Oklahoma. Doesn't do a whole lot with them. There's a few helicity tracks. I know some of the models had favored kind of the Tulsa area. Right here's a matter of fact, here this model did favor Tulsa again. Potential tornado in your area. Just heads up on that. Again, it's not going to be perfect, as far as placement goes, but it does give you the general idea, general vicinity. Let's see here. So this afternoon, so here's that model that's a little closer to us that does show things trying to get going here not long from now, a couple hours. Stretching up here to the north. Again, we'll see if this, and it didn't last long. They're having the model are having trouble what to do with the atmosphere. They almost think it's a little too stable, even though they initially go up in that very thin area I showed you of instability. But then there's a little signal there of a tornadic storm for Bartlesville, etc. So again, you have to kind of watch this zone for this afternoon. Basically, is the bottom line for anything tornadic for any of those storms that do go up. All right, let's take a look here. Dry line, as we said, this afternoon should be focused pretty much along the west of the I-35 corridor, so that means that's where your typical thunderstorms are trying to develop. No threat of severe weather anywhere west of the dry line because the air is dry out here, so you have no threat of storms. Everything where you see the purple and the blue, that's where you have all the moisture to work with. We did talk about flooding, and that's a pretty huge thing to discuss. So if we look at the different models, just to kind of give you an idea, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain, and this is a very smooth approach. All right, here's one that tries to get a little bit more finesse, I should say, and it's going 7 pockets of 7, 6, 7, 8 inches of rainfall, and this is European. It's been showing this for a while. It just keeps moving around these areas. At first, it was over here, then it was over here, and now it's over here. Bottom line is the model knows we're going to get a lot of training in rain. It's just the exact position of that. Now, I'm concerned that's probably going to be something like this, is where the main center of that is. Let's see what the other models do. So here's one here. Let's go to another one here. Let's go here, 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 and here. So you can see that the take home here was that widespread 2-3 inches of rain is not a problem. And in some places with this training, look in the model data, we made it in some areas 6-7 inches of rain or 8 inches, and obviously that's going to cause flash flooding. That's going to be a problem. Temperatures out there in the 70s to near 80 over the next several days. A little warm on Tuesday, 86, before we head on into May. Overnight lows into the 50s and 60s, so that's pretty much the way that looks for right now. Like I did mention earlier, I talked about this last night. When we do talk about tornadoes, most of the ones in our state are EF0, EF1. When we do have a certain situation where the environment is very favorable with other ingredients that can enhance the intensity of a storm, you get into that EF2, EF3 category. Now, I got to warn you, the EF4s and EF5s are very rare, and it's for a good reason. It's very difficult to get these type of tornadoes, and you have to have other things that happen. You have to have boundaries in play, you have to have cell mergers, you have to have a proper movement of the storm with respect to the storm relative inflow. So there's a lot of things that have to happen to get these magic tornadoes, basically is what I call them, because they're very, very rare. We hardly ever see them, thank goodness. So again, most of them are in this category here, and if you look at the building to the left, the upstairs is gone. The outside walls have been penetrated, but the building itself still stands. In other words, the structural integrity is still there. So that's why we always say get into the middle of your home, even if it's a business home, wherever, lowest floor away from all outside walls and windows. This is a primary example for that, for getting up to a tornado of an EF3. Here's an EF2, a little bit of the roof is gone, otherwise the home still stands. Here's an EF1, some shingles, no big deal. And then EF0, you didn't even know a tornado hit you almost if you're in a home. Now if you're in a mobile home, EF0, you're probably okay. If it's an EF1, that'll flip the mobile home or maybe even damage it, roll it. So you don't want to be in a mobile home, period, because you never know what you're going to get, right? So you always have to find safety in that particular case. But like I said, for well-built homes on slabs where anchor bolts are applied and your builder didn't cheap out on you, you should be fine as far as these mid-strength tornadoes, or we call strong tornadoes. The violent ones up here, it really doesn't matter what you live in, unfortunately. It just does what it does, unless you have a storm shelter that's bolted to the slab, and that will stay. No one's ever seen a storm shelter removed from a slab. So if you have an above-ground storm shelter, it's bolted down properly. That should not be a problem. It's just all the wood framing, everything that does get pulled out, because it's just wood, right? If you had a home made of steel, the steel would still there. It'd probably be a little twisted, but it'd still be there. Okay, so let's see. That was everything I want to show you in a nutshell. So bottom line is we have a little risk of severe storms for this afternoon east of I-35. We'll have to see how the cloud development trends over the next couple of hours to see if the models are correct as far as having a very weak cap and a narrow band of instability to get those going. We'll find out very quickly within the next couple of hours. That should happen. That would move off to the north and east. So if you're in the path of a few of those isolated storms, they will be capable of producing a significant tornado. So in other words, a strong tornado. That's like an EF2. Also have hail and wind with them. Use my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free, Apple and Google Play. It'll track the storms. It'll let you know if there's one coming directly for your location. It'll give you a twisting storm alert with a BTI number. The BTI number is a scale of 1 to 10. The closer it is to a 10, the more confident that the algorithm thinks that it's going to be an actual tornado versus just a rotating thunderstorm that could produce a tornado. So pay attention to that. It'll give you an extra warning before the National Weather Service issues their tornado warning. So you can get like 18 minutes prep time to seek shelter in that case. So make sure you use that. There's plenty of case studies where people have used it and they're like, wow, that's amazing. So be one of those people. All right, it's free. Doesn't cost you anything. AT's Weather to Go. It's on Apple and Google Play. No weather radios are use that. Obviously social media, you can use that. Regular media, you can use those. I will cover tornadoes. I will go live for those should they occur for today and tomorrow night. So I'm expecting kind of a long day and period for me, as well as probably most of all your weather people that you follow. Let me think anything else. Always lowest floor, away from all outside walls and windows. tell the kids, get your stuff together. It's important to you. Bug out bag, whatever. Always have your shoes ready, your clothes ready, so that you don't caught without that. Anything else I can think of real quick? And then for Saturday. So looking at the data, it's interesting. It's a different setup than what we normally have. Normally when you get storms in the morning, that stabilizes the air and you don't get anything later in the afternoon. And that's normally 9 times out of 10 the way that works. This time around it seems to be a little different. And I had to go back to figure out, what was going on. And because it's a good combination, we're bad how you look at it, of the exact position of the upper low that's coming in, along with the jet streak that's going along with it, and all these little ripples of, you can call them spokes on a wheel, but little disturbances that come in on the backside that have to swing through. It's like one after another after another. So basically it is this multiple areas of lift, and the 300 millibar jet that comes out ahead of it, it kicks out in a way we're called into the right entrance region. And when the right entrance region, basically it's a broad, think of it as a giant Hoover vacuum in the sky and just keeps sucking up air. Well, rising air is what you need to produce a thunderstorm. So it's almost like you have an infinite measure to keep getting air to rise. And so that overcomes any substance you would have had from just storms that form in general. So, and it's very strong. So there's a lot of those little things I think that's adding up this time around to make this event different. So it's going to make it last off and on during our day on Saturdays that appears on into Saturday night, and then finally, ending slowly, little by little, for Sunday. And because of such a long period of time, that's a lot of rainfall, aka a lot of flash flooding. So central and eastern Oklahoma, I-35 corridor on east, under the greatest risk for all that flash flooding. Yes, tornadoes, yes, hail, and yes, damaging winds. So we'll detail more of this later today and tonight as new data comes in. And of course, I'll track radar as well for you throughout the afternoon. Otherwise, that is it for me for now. I hope you enjoyed your Lunchtime Live. Thanks again for stopping by. Make sure you like and share the video, follow the page, subscribe, tell your friends and family about AT's weather, and I'll get them through the storms without any anxiety the best I can. And we'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks again. Take care, guys.